And the audio sounds different. That's because I put my mic in a different place. So with this, we have I'm placing it back here. Screw it. It's gonna hurt because it's like right on my legs. But whatever. So with this, we have Israel continuing their pushback into Iraq by taking out their occupied areas. It's very slow, but they're eventually able to get it. They then push into the northern areas, and they're eventually squeezed out and annihilated by Turkish forces. Wow. Hopefully that stays. Anyway, so we also have Israel assigned to make an advancement into Iran. And they're not walking into Iran, they're running. I would have said raining, but that doesn't make grammatical sense. Don't be such a grammar Nazi. Anyway, so with this, we have them taking out some of their northern territory and causing a big encirclement. Um, and now they're aiming for their capital. With this, we have Afghanistan deciding to regroup, and they decide to just go screw it, and they start push back Turkmenistan. With this, they regather again and push back in. Now Afghanistan is fully mobilized, and Turkmenistan isn't. So with this, we have Afghanistan actually pushing all the way through Turkmenistan in about a 2-week blitzkrieg, and they're able to take it over. With this, Afghanistan is considering settling out of the war, but screw Pakistan, right? So they just have to do that. With this, they push right into Pakistan, taking the capital back. And this was extremely deadly. And also, by the way, no nuclear bombs because that would just kind of ruin it. And without nukes, Pakistan isn't really much, to be honest. Like, let's be real here for like half a second. So now, Afghanistan is very thick. It's every empire's worst nightmare. Yeah. So eventually we have them also deciding to fortify their Chinese border just in case. With this, we also have Afghanistan deciding to draw peace with Iran by just taking their occupied lands with them. So now Iran is kind of screwed here. I mean, they don't have to deal with another front now, which is good for them. But the bad thing is they just lost a lot of valuable land. And if Afghanistan wants to rejoin in on this war, they can easily just walk right into the capital, which I believe is Wait, never mind. But yeah, technically they're still extremely close, and they can just walk right into terrain. Yes, terrain. It's not, but whatever. I don't care. So with this, we have Israel deciding to encircle some more Iraqi forces while connecting with their other front. And now they're just getting closer and closer to Baghdad. Baghdad. But the Americans decide that they're going to be the ones to take Baghdad for the second time in history. With this, they decide to liberate Kuwait fully, and after taking over its old southern territory, and they decide, let's make Kuwait a little bigger this time. So they do that. With this, they just give Kuwait most of the U.S. occupied land, although some of it is pushed out. So with this, now we just have Kuwait. They're back, yay, and they're a U.S. ally this time. And there goes my phone, just great. So now Kuwait's back. That's cool, I guess. And it also means new front for Iran, even though there's technically already a front for it. So now with very thick Kuwait, we have them decide with US help to push into Iran. So yes, some reverse card here, I guess. With this they cause a massive spearhead right through Iran, and they decide to fortify it and also push into Iraq. So now we start to see a continuous fall of Iraq as their capital is now very exposed. So now it's kind of a race to see who can get Baghdad first, and the countries they kind of want it because who doesn't want land? Like let's be real here. So with this, we have Saudi Arabia going for a push in. Eventually they're starting to reach the outskirts of Baghdad, which is about right here. And it looks like Saudi Arabia is going to be the one to take it. But Israel also sends in a massive counteroffensive into Iraq so they can get to it. And the USA sees this and they're like, oh, well, frig, I don't want to miss this, so they're also in it. Although the progress is a bit slower, but it was going simultaneously with the Israel and Saudi Arabian push. And then Kuwait decides to jump in out of nowhere, and they decide to completely kind of switch teams a little bit by declaring themselves to be a they declare themselves to be taken over by Iraqi rebels. That's a lie, but whatever. So you have Kuwait, the rebelled Kuwait, I guess you could say now, going for Baghdad themselves, and now it's all kind of awkward because they're all here now. So with this, they decide, you know what, let's split Iraq evenly. And with this, coincidentally, Kuwait is now no longer controlled by rebels. Wonder why. So now we just it's kind of weird. They don't really know what to do with Iraq. Israel decides that they will get most of it because they're kind of the ones that started this whole thing. Not really, but you know it fits. Kuwait's con- Kuwait's content with the land that they got right now, and Saudi Arabia decides to also get a ton of it because why not? And the USA decides to puppet these two. So now we have the Israel Empire becoming extremely big, taking over almost all of northern Iraq. With this, they put down each rebellion that they face, and they are able to fully connect with their northern front. This time with annexed land. Eventually, they continue to push down into highly rebellious Iraq. Now, this is like it's some of the bright blue parts they're still occupied by Israel, but Israel still has to crush the partisans, which is also a lazy excuse. So I can draw this whole thing because for some reason this website Pixel or doesn't have fill in. I don't feel like using Pixel E because then it's just more difficult to use in my opinion. So yeah, annexation I guess. With this, Israel continues their push down into the rebellious Iraq, and Saudi Arabia decides to also help out by using the southern part. They don't demand any land though because they know that might start a whole another war. And now we have a very decent looking Israel. Wow, actually did another great border. What do you know? Kuwait obviously still content with what they got, and now we have Saudi Arabia getting having to take over their part of land. With this, they decide to do a different strategy from Israel by encircling it and gathering their forces right into it. So now we have Saudi Arabia taking over most of the land, but they still got a couple of it, a, a couple 100 miles of land, I would guess, to take over. So they do just that. They quickly once again encircle it and also squeeze it out into the American controlled Iraq, which for all purposes of this video is becoming a US puppet. So I guess we could let's color it this color because that's a good color. No, it looks the exact same. Wow, great. So now we have the US puppeted zones of Iraq, which is just what remains of the very small Iraq now. It might be given independence eventually, but who knows. And yeah, still got time. And now with this we see USA having to go through their own rebellious zones, and they mainly get help from their other Middle Eastern allies because America, deserts, and jungles, especially the jungles. I guess you could also say mountains, rebellious groups, terrorist groups. They don't really go too well for USA. I wonder why. It's not like it's extremely geography impossible and we're not used to it. Huh. Wonder why. So, anyways, with this, we have the Allies deciding to regroup together. In Afghanistan, there's not in this war, but I'm keeping them color blue because screw it. With this, we see the massive push through and the capturing of all of Iran's coast. Iran decides to just fall at this point. They don't really care until they actually accidentally make a nuke. So now, actually did do what USA thought they were doing that whole time. So with this, we have I know I said there was no nuclear bombs, but that was in the last part. So screw you.